Sturtevant. I am Chief Economist with Bright MLS, and I'm here on Facebook to talk a little bit about inflation. As you guys know, inflation hit another high this month, 9.1%. And a lot of folks were hoping that we had really peaked inflation this past spring, but it's still going up. Why are prices still going up? And what do we think the Fed's going to do, and how will that affect the housing market? So let's take a couple minutes to kind of run through what we know about inflation. And basically, demand is just outstripping supply for a whole range of goods and services. Prices continue to rise because consumer demand is still strong, as the labor market's doing pretty well. There's a lot of pent-up demand among consumers. We haven't been out spending over the last 2 years because of COVID, and now we're out there spending. And so demand is really strong. Supply is really limited, though. Labor and supply chain issues are making it really difficult for businesses to keep up with all of our demand. So that's why we're seeing really high inflation numbers. So, what will the Federal Reserve do? Well, I think that we're expecting later this month, when the Federal Reserve meets, that they will probably raise the short-term interest rates by 0.75 percentage point again. This would be the second time in a row. It's a pretty unprecedented action, but raising rates is really the primary tool the Fed has to target this persistently high inflation. So we'll keep an eye out for that, but I'm expecting towards the end of the month to hear another aggressive rate hike by the Fed. So, what does all this mean for the housing market? What does inflation have to do with how the housing market will perform? What mortgage rates, how mortgage rates will be impacted? Well, we know the housing market has begun to cool considerably because mortgage rates have been rising. And the Federal Reserve doesn't set mortgage rates directly, but when it does move these short-term rates, it then translates into higher mortgage rates. So a big rate hike by the Federal Reserve could push mortgage rates up further than they've been. But there are lots of other economic factors and other demand factors that affect mortgage rates. So I'm expecting, instead of Federal Reserve action to push up mortgage rates, rather that rates will bump around a little bit this summer. But either way, the cost of borrowing money has been going up, and inflation is really taking a toll on household budgets. So I would expect that we'll see fewer home sales, a slight increase in inventory in a lot of local markets, and prices are going to continue to rise. But I will expect that those home prices will rise at a much slower rate than we've seen in the past. So that's all I've got on inflation today. But I hope to see you again here on Facebook Live when we talk about some of these economic numbers that we're seeing and try and make sense of what it means for the housing market. Until next time, I will see you later.